Hello everyone. There I was in the middle of nowhere, thinking, where will I go? What will I do? Should I go back to India and become a joke for my family and friends to laugh at? In fact, it was February 2003. I was standing in front of the admissions office door of the Northumbria University in Newcastle upon Tyne. The grey door seemed huge, as if it was curling around above me. It was in the middle of nowhere for me because it was the first time I had left my home, city, country, my job, my family, everyone, my friends. I knew nobody in that city and the country. I was a complete stranger and I felt completely alone and scared. I was trying to summon up courage to withdraw my admission from a taught master's degree which I had enrolled into just a month ago. Yes, just a month ago. You see, if your gut says something is not right for you, it probably isn't. What one needs is the courage to take action, to do something about it. After studying for a month, I felt it was a waste of my dad's hard-earned life savings, which I had spent in the first installment of my fees. So coming out of India for the first time and going to a country where the currency costs nearly 100 times more than the country where I came from was the biggest shock to live through. For example, I would think twice to buy even a portion of chips that used to cost only £1, but it's nearly 100 rupees. It was nearly 100 rupees in India. It was the last day to withdraw in order to get the refund of the fees. Otherwise, I would have no money to support me in the UK after the withdrawal. And I needed the courage. You know, when you have recently read a book and somehow the words are still running through your mind. Just before I left India, I had finished a book by Dr. Robert Schuller, and it was called Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do. It was as if these words were etched in my mind. They gave me the courage to deal with the foreign world, and I pushed open the large grey door and walked into the admission office. And somewhere in the back of my throat found the words that I wasn't sure would come out. Hello, excuse me, I'm Raj. I need to withdraw my admission for my master's degree. I felt like Charles Dickens' character Oliver Twist asking for more. But I did it. I withdrew my admission and I got the refund of my fees. I then moved to London with a single goal to apply directly in a PhD with full research scholarship. So I used the money from the refunded fees to pay for my food and accommodation. I started living in a shared house with 12 other people, very close to an industrial estate in Alperton, Wembley. I used to sleep in a bunk bed in a living room with total 4 other bunk beds. I was surrounded by people who were migrants, either on a visitor visa or a student visa, but mainly came to the UK to work by doing odd jobs. So the fellow residents used to say and tell me that give up, you won't succeed here. Look what we are doing, even though we are highly qualified from our country. So you can imagine I was living amongst the people with almost non-existent morale in terms of achieving something extraordinary in their lives. Very hard to do what I wanted to do, isn't it? But then I continuously reminded the famous words from Dr. Robert Schuller. I will persist until I succeed. And success is never ending and failure is never final. So I applied to 15 universities and continued applying relentlessly. And guess what? Most of them rejected my application. But then one research group in a university called Dublin, Ireland, offered a place in PhD with fees and stipend paid. And then I thought to myself, yes, this is sponsored by a campus company, set up by a professor from the university, and everything is paid. So I can move to Dublin and start my PhD. That's exactly what I did. Then after a couple of years in Dublin, something interesting happened. The directors of the company had a dispute. So no one would invest in the company with a dispute. and the company was closed. So I was left with no funding to finish my PhD. And circumstances weren't under my control. Therefore, I accepted whatever I got out of the situation, which meant that I ended up accepting a master's by research degree instead of a PhD. But in addition, I also graduated and became a man from a boy because I learned to drink. I drank alcohol in Ireland for the first time in my life. I'd never tasted or known, never tasted alcohol, so I'd never known what it felt or what it meant to be drunk. I really enjoyed the freshest pint of Guinness in Guinness Brewery. I had lots of fun and enjoyed my stay in Ireland. But now I needed money. So I found a job in the Netherlands. And it's funny how fate works, because after working for a few years in the Netherlands, I stumbled upon an opportunity for a position of research fellow in University of Reading in the UK. I got through the interviews, packed my bag again, and moved back to the UK. Once again, fate had brought me closer to achieving my dream. You see, after working for a year as a staff member, I was allowed to start a part-time PhD at the university while working full-time. You may think, oh great, he finally finished his PhD. End of story. Or nice end to the story. I wish that was the end. Guess what? It was again not so easy. I found myself in the middle of nowhere again. But this time, the nowhere was called Reading. And then in 2016, the university decided to close down the school where I had been working and pursuing my PhD. That was it. Once again, I had to find a job in the university and leave the industry and leave the university and my studies. It was as if the world was screaming at me, Raj, just let the PhD dream go, give up. And I did see all the hints, but that was not what I did. In that, the biggest challenge I had was, how do I run my experiments, which required a lot of costly electronics hardware and licensed software? I did not have easy access to university laboratories. I could hear Dr. Robert Schuller telling me, tough times don't last, tough people do. So with pure determination, I decided to set up the whole laboratory at home. I won't share all the details of the crazy time that was me juggling hours and hours of work, setting up the lab in a small bedroom, and the requests I made to people who should have said no but somehow said yes, and the missed sleep. But finally, in July 2018, I was awarded the PhD in the university convocation. So when we set a goal, the journey is not always a straight line. Mine went all over and more than once double backed on itself. But if your goal is always there and you know somehow, some way you will get there, does it really matter that there are unexpected bumps along the way? I've completed my marathon. In fact, I think I did it twice. Have the stamina to go for your goals. Be relentless. And don't worry when the road looks winding, because tough times don't last, but tough people do. And if you dare to dream, you can achieve it. Thank you.